Call the Town of Fuquay-Varina Planning Board to order. We will, because of COVID, we will skip the pledge and the invocation and just move on to our business. Before we get started, we will, where am I talking to? Yeah, we will have the planning director go through the meeting protocols for us.
Thank you. All attendees that have joined the meeting tonight have joined muted. If you wish to speak during the meeting, you will need to notify staff you wish to speak. If you are joining the meeting online and wish to speak, please press the raise hand button. If you are joining the meeting via phone, please press the *9 to raise your hand. After you've raised your hand, staff will recognize you to speak by calling out your name or the last 4 digits of your phone number. You will be unmuted at this time and allowed to speak. Once you have finished speaking, you will be muted for the remainder of the meeting. If you wish to speak again, you will need to raise your hand again.
Thank you. We'll go to the approval of the minutes. The purpose of this, item 2A, the purpose of this agenda item is to consider approval of the minutes from the July 20th, 2020 Planning Board meeting. So everybody had a chance to review the minutes of the meeting, and if you have any changes or corrections, please make them now. Or if not, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, there's a blanket statement for, we have no items tabled from the previous meetings. We've been doing pretty good about getting through our business. We're on to item 4, public hearings. Here's a blanket statement for all public hearings. Public hearings are a time for petitioners to present requests and for the public to state their concerns and voice opinions in favor of or in opposition to those requests. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium, or in this case, raise your hand and state your name and address for the record before speaking in regards to each specific request. You'll only have access through this, the social media platform. And if there are any questions, we do have, we already provided the protocol for doing that. Okay, on to item 4A, public hearing. REZ 2020-13, petitioners Malden Watkins Surveying, PA. Purpose of this agenda item is to consider a requested zoning map amendment for a total of 14.767 acres located at 6717 Old Mills Road, from the residential agricultural RA zoning district to the residential medium density conditional RMD CZD zoning district. Further information will be provided by staff.
Thank you. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The subject property totals 14.767 acres and is located in the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction. The property is subject to annexation but has not been submitted by the petitioner at this time. The property is currently a single-family residence and additionally farmland and partially forested. The zoning map amendment petition requests approval of the residential medium density conditional zoning district, RMD CZD, which is intended to permit proposed residential development and existing single-family detached, duplex, triplex, or quadplex residential uses. The petitioner has requested the following conditions of the site-specific uses be made applicable to the subject property. 1, all lots have to be one single-family detached dwelling. 2, vinyl siding is not permitted. Vinyl windows, decorative elements, and trim are permitted. 3, no unit shall be constructed with an exterior elevation and color palette that is identical to the unit on either side or directly across the street. 4, any side or rear facade adjacent and visible from existing public right-of-way shall have either a covered or enclosed front or rear porch, or decorative trim or shutters around all windows. 5, minimum of 24 inches masonry material at the base along the front facade and surrounding entryway. 6, garage doors shall contain windows, decorative details, or carriage-style adornments. 7, each unit shall have a front door with a minimum of 25% glazing, transom, or door side lights. Surrounding properties are largely residential of varying densities. Properties range from residential agricultural to residential medium density conditional zoning district and their associated open spaces. To the immediate north and east lies the Springfield subdivision, and to the west, across Old Mills Road, is the Bentwyn Bluff subdivision. The Johnson Point subdivision is located to the south. The 2035 Community Vision Land Use Plan calls for the large lot residential classification at the subject property. Typical densities in a large lot residential neighborhood accommodate lots up to 1/2 acre in size. Land of this classification is typically formed as a neighborhood for single-family detached homes with uniform housing densities. The requested zoning district is consistent with the 2035 LUP classification. Public water and sewer are available to serve the subject property. The subject property is located on and has access to Old Mills Road and is classified as a local street by the town's 2035 Community Transportation Plan. It is maintained by NCDOT, however, and as such, 2015 traffic counts are available and indicate 800 average daily trips near the intersection of Old Mills Road and Johnson Pond Road to the south of the subject property. The petitioner held a neighborhood meeting on July 22nd, 2020 at 1301 Broad Street. The meeting report is attached. The town staff takes no position to its content. Due to the conversation that took place at the neighborhood meeting, the petitioner elected to add conditions 2 through 7 listed herein to address concerns voiced by neighbors. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning map amendment. It is consistent with the 2035 Community Vision Land Use Plan and is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the following reasons. 1, the requested zoning map amendment is consistent with the 2035 Community Vision Land Use Plan designation of large lot residential. 2, the conditions proposed by the petitioner effectively limit future development, so it is compatible with the surrounding areas. 3, the requested zoning map amendment is consistent with the 2035 Community Vision Land Use Plan's recommendations, CF1, invest in existing growth areas. I am available to answer any questions you have.
Does anybody on the board have any questions before we start the hearing? Okay. The public hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of this zoning map amendment?
Okay, we have 2 hands raised, well, actually 1 now. Showing up as Massengill, please unmute your mic.
Okay, my name is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Wayne Massengill. I lived at 6600 Brookshire Drive in Fuquay. We developed Bentwyn's Bluff across the street. Basically, this will be a continuation of Bentwyn's Bluff. The same style homes, same style lots. The lots will all be a minimum of 10,000 square foot lots. The homes will be very similar to, as in Bentwyn's Bluff, single family, mainly a brick on each home. There will be about 30 homes built in this neighborhood. The pricing should start around $500,000. The subdivision will be built to the town of Fuquay-Varina and North Carolina, the state of North Carolina specs. And I'm asking you to support this rezoning. Thank you for letting me speak. Any questions, be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this zoning map amendment? Do we have anyone else in favor?
I see no other hands raised.
Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment? Please raise your hand if you wish to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment.
Yes, we have several hands raised.
All right.
We'll start at the top. Peter Watson, please unmute your mic.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm kind of not really so much adamantly opposed to this as I have some concerns about the whole idea. And I've just learned much more than I previously knew. I was unable to go to the July 22nd hearing or meeting. So just from what Mr. Massengill had to say, I've learned some things. First of all, I just want to ask very quickly, do I have a time limit of like 3 minutes or something like that?
You don't have one
I
here.
won't go on and on.
You will not have one here, although if you get off, too far off topic, I will stop you. So there's no time limit here, but please keep it as brief as possible and communicate your points.
Yes, sir, I sure will. I won't go on and on. My concerns are, the only other zoning in this area that is in this category is Bentwin's Bluffs, and it looks like there's a parcel down the road on Hilltop Needmore that is slated to be this or is already zoned in this category. I'm concerned about the density, and in this particular case, the possibility of increased flooding is one of my concerns. The surrounding area is all RA, residential, agricultural, and I'm presuming this is being rezoned in this manner so it can become part of Fuquay-Varina, which is, not a big deal. But my concern is the density of the subdivision it's in harmony with Bentwin's Bluffs across the street, but it's not the same as all of the other surrounding RA zoning. I am concerned about the potential for increased flooding due to the amount of asphalt and concrete and so on. I'm also concerned about not knowing, of course, how this is going to be developed. The existing, I guess you call it green belt, the trees and so on that make this residential area as pleasant as it is. I'm concerned about building right up to the property line. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't state my address. I'm at 5044 Allenbrook, so I'm right behind this. And obviously, I have concerns that if lots are built right up to the property line, that it would just be that we would lose the green belts of the trees that make it a good area, and flooding. That is the other thing. I will say, I will compliment you on your 2035 plan. I have read it. It's well written, but those are my concerns about this particular development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment?
Yes, sir. We have several more. Marianne, please unmute your mic.
Hi, my name is Marion Abele, and I live in Bentwin's Bluffs. And
could you please state your
opposition.
Could you please state your address, please?
Oh, okay. I'm at 5732 Mizuno Drive. That's in Bentwin's Bluffs.
Right.
And I'm not in opposition to the rezoning as such, but I do urge the planning board to approve a traffic impact analysis for Old Mills Road. As you know, it lies between Hilltop Needmore Road and Johnson Pond Road. Currently, cars race up and down Old Mills Road at all hours of the day and night, going well above the speed limit of 45 miles per hour. On several occasions, I've witnessed near collisions involving speeding cars almost hitting other vehicles attempting to enter driveways and other developments along Old Mills Road. Additionally, Old Mills Road doesn't have sidewalks, and the hazards to pedestrians and bicyclists cannot be understated. Walking along this road, which I do almost every day, is a terrifying experience, but we really have to because we don't have any alternative. These traffic safety issues will only worsen as the vehicular and pedestrian traffic explodes with the completion of this new development, and those situated off Hilltop Needmore, namely the Pulte development, and Johnson Pond Roads, which has Patriot Bluffs and Meadow Bluffs. At the very least, Old Mills Road needs safety features like sidewalks, a turn lane, a decrease in the speed limit, and perhaps well-placed lights and speed bumps. That's really all I have to say, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment?
Yes, sir. We have a phone caller, phone number ending in 2306. Phone number ending in 2306. You are muted. There they go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay. Yes, this is Doug Pedersen. I live at 5700 Wisteria Drive, Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina, zip code 27526.
You may go ahead and speak in opposition.
All right. I'm not as strong in opposition as I do have concerns, and the concerns tie back to how Bentwin's Bluffs was executed with the sewer line that was installed along Old Mills Road and past our place. As that sewer line was run down, the original grades on the properties downwind or downstream from Bentwin's Bluffs were never returned to the original grades of the subdivision that was there. That has to do with what is coming into Wisteria Drive as well. So I do not believe that the town of Fuquay-Varina or Wake County did a good job of ensuring the contractor brought those back. It was originally extremely bad, and the Massengills came back and redid it, but it is still not to the grade that it was before and still very difficult to mow. The other challenge was that we had a lot of rain when they were developing Bentwin's Bluffs. We had a hurricane come through. But still, I believe the silt fences got out of control, and the lake in Bentwin's golf course became the retention pond and accumulated a lot of silt, as did the pond at the intersection of Johnson Pond and Whitted Road. When that storm went through, and even before we had springs before that storm, you could just see the silt build up in those areas. At the time, I thought about calling the EPA, but I chose to be a good neighbor and just raise the concern, but do not believe that it was properly addressed. As the property over here drains directly in without the two ponds to act as buffers before it gets in the main water supply, that is a concern that I have. I agree with the previous caller that the traffic on Old Mills Road has increased substantially. I do not agree with her in that we need to have a decrease in the speed limit, but rather enforcement of the speed limits are there, and we also need to have either sidewalks or some sort of lane alongside. I'm also concerned that that road is just a very simple pavement. It's not meant to carry a lot of traffic, and as you put heavy construction machinery on it and you start grading off that road, that's going to shorten that road's life. So I think that needs to be addressed as well. Those are the concerns that I have. I think they need to be addressed before the board ever drives approval of this, and would seek to ensure that those get cleared. Now, Pam Davison did a good job. She got back to me with regard to addressing some of those issues, but the things that she said would address it were all in place before, and it did not turn out well. So once again, I support development. I support what's going on. I just believe the previous execution did not meet the standards and expectations I believe that the town should have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Yes, sir. We have next up is Julie Sutter. Please unmute your mic.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
We can hear you. Please state.
All right, my name's Doug Sutter. I'm here with my wife Julie. We're at 3425 Bentwin's Bluffs Lane here in Fuquay, and biggest concerns we have is to echo the first speaker we had in opposition is something really needs to be done about the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on Old Mills Lane, because that is, it's too fast for what it is. Quite often, I'll have somebody coming up very closely on my tailgate when I'm getting ready to make a right or a left turn into Bentwin's Bluffs. And again, to the point with the Pulte neighborhood up on Hilltop Needmore and the other two ones coming in on Old Johnson Pond, it's going to get nothing but worse. So not sure if a traffic analysis by DOT would warrant a turn lane into the two neighborhoods, but I think we can control, and we should control at the minimum, taking the speed limit down to 35. And I can't see a good reason why it wouldn't be. Now, the other point or concern that I do have is as we take a look at other residential developers within Fuquay, there is, the Pulte, and part of it's in Holly Springs too, but the Pulte neighborhood on Hilltop Needmore is put in close to, I'd say, half a mile of sidewalk along Old Mills Road. Not Old Mills Road, but Hilltop Needmore. Along Old Mills, part of this neighborhood going in has to be sidewalk along the frontage. Because to Mary Ann's point that was talking, we are not, someday something's going to happen to a pedestrian walking their dog or riding their bike, and it's just really a matter of time whether or not, or whether it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It'll just be a matter of time. And we also have golf carts that cut across from Springfield, and it's great that they cut across or through other neighborhoods and are on Old Mills for a period of time. But with the speed limit of 45 and most people doing 55 to 60 on it, those golf courts are, at their own peril, taking Old Mills to get over to Bentwin's golf course. That's all we have.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment?
Yes, we have one more hand raised. Rick Blunt, please unmute your mic.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me speak. Like others have said, I'm very concerned about the Old Mills Road.
Could you please state your name? Could you state your name and address, please, for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Rick Blunt, 5732 Mizuno Drive, Bentwin's Bluffs, Fuquay-Varina.
Thank you.
The speed limit needs to be reduced to 35. We need speed bumps, we need sidewalks, and we need turn-in lanes to the existing Bentwood Bluffs and the new rezoning development that's going to be developed by the Massengills across the street from us. I've had tailgating, as has been mentioned before. I've had people speed up to me, almost hit me. I've seen other cars speeding, almost hit pedestrians along the road, joggers along the road, bicyclists along the road. And we just need a traffic assessment done to see how we can remediate those dangers. Thank you very much, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition to this zoning map amendment?
There are no other hands raised.
Anyone else in opposition? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. A couple of quick comments that I have. Traffic law enforcement should be calling, I believe on here, they could probably call the Fuquay-Varina Police Department or could call the county sheriff for, I believe out here it's probably the county sheriff for speed limit enforcement of the existing speed limit. And I guess the other thing is, would you mind covering the requirement or lack thereof for a traffic impact analysis?
Right. So to back up a little bit to Bentwin's Bluffs, that project was approved in 2016, the spring of 2016. That was prior to the approval of the current CTP and land development ordinance that we have on the books today. So that is why there were no sidewalks or curb and gutter or anything put in along Old Mills Road with that development. Those weren't requirements at the time. Currently, our CTP with this new development would require both curb and gutter and sidewalks. Old Mills Road is designated as a local road on our CTP, so no additional road widening or anything would take place because of the CTP. A TIA, a traffic impact analysis, is triggered at preliminary subdivision plan with 100 peak hour trips or 1,000 daily average trips. Ballpark around 100 lots. This development, looking at probably between 30 and 40 lots, will probably not trigger the requirement for a traffic impact analysis. While there may be issues on the road, currently the traffic impact analysis focuses on the impact that this development would do. We do ask for a trip generation letter, so that would be submitted with the preliminary plan. That still would document the amount of cars that this would be adding to the road.
Okay, thank you. I also had the thought that traffic impact analysis normally addresses congestion. If there's actually a speeding problem, that kind of indicates there's not really a big congestion problem yet. Not that there, other things, but. Are there any other questions? Does anybody else on the board have any questions or want to bring up any concerns or discussion? Or if not, I would entertain a motion.
I've got a couple things.
Okay.
One being, Pam, could you talk about speed limit lowering? That seemed to be a hot button item, but I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the developer has the ability to do that. And I think that has to be a petition from the town towards NCDOT, and DOT has to approve it and go through some other process, does it not?
Right. This is an NCDOT road. Obviously, the developer can influence the speed limits on the roads inside the development.
Sure.
But yeah, this is an existing road, so if there are issues, that would be an issue to take up with NCDOT.
So basically, all the developer can do is be requested, but that the approval on that would be, does it have to go through, can he do that by himself, or does he have to go through you guys to do that? Do you know?
I think that would be contact directly with NCDOT,
Okay.
but I don't think that could be a requirement of this, just because that's an outside entity in that call.
And the other thing I wanted to, a couple people mentioned speed bumps, and I think it's important for the public to understand that speed bumps, while they're good for traffic control, I don't think the fire department here in town and the police really like that, because it becomes a public safety issue.
Right, and again, that would be an NCT, this is an NCDOT road, this is not a town road, so speed bumps are definitely not preferred because of emergency.
And as far as
response
like
times.
turn lanes and stuff like that, again, it's up to DOT to make that call, and,
Right.
and everybody submits.
Well, again, this is something, if the Bentwin Bluff subdivision, they were not required to do any road improvements at the time, so
Sure.
this developer would not be responsible to make improvements for that subdivision.
Understood. That's all I got.
Okay.
And just a quick pointer, some erosion and stormwater questions. Now the town is delegated for both stormwater and erosion, so that'll come through the town's review, so I think
Right.
the town would have a little bit more
Yes, the town took
say-so
over.
whether the rules are followed versus Wake County being involved
Exactly.
in that process.
The town took over stormwater erosion control in the fall of 2018, so again, Bentwin Bluffs came in before that,
Right.
so.
Okay. So, and I know the town does a better job. I honestly,
I should hope so.
that's one of the reasons we, as a town, wanted to take that over. Because we do have problems with stormwater management within our town, so we take it a lot more seriously perhaps than the state does. Okay, or the county. Okay, I'm open for, if there's no more further discussion, I'm open for a motion.
One item, someone did bring up trees and making sure they kept that buffer. And there was a note in the neighborhood meeting specifically about trees. And the developer said that they hadn't done an environmental report as of yet, but they had planned to keep as many trees as possible. So I would like to.
Right, so there's two parts to that. There will be required a heritage tree survey. That will be a tree survey done of the 40-foot perimeter around the entire plan. Any qualifying trees over 24 inches diameter at breast height will need to be identified and either saved, or 3-inch caliper trees need to be planted at one tree for every 10 inches of heritage tree removed. So it is in their best interest, if there are heritage trees identified around the perimeter, to save them. Secondly, I believe this would probably have a 10-foot type B buffer, being that these are smaller lots next to larger lots. That is not required to be existing trees. It, again, is in their best interest. If existing trees are saved, the developer can submit an exhibit and letter certifying that the existing trees saved meet the intent of the type B buffer, and then they do not have to plant a buffer. So in many cases, developers do make the effort to save those existing trees.
Good point, thank you.
I'd move we approve the REZ 2020-13. The main problem I was hearing was, it seemed to be in traffic enforcement versus the subdivision. So I'd make a motion we approve it.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion for approval in a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This goes on to the board. Okay, I think we need Alex, you need to be
Yes.
accused.
I'll make a
Chair,
motion
if you don't mind, I'd like to ask to be recused from item 4B.
I'll make a motion to recuse Alex from
Second.
4B.
Okay. We've got a motion. I hear a second.
Second.
Motion is second for recusal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. You are recused for this item.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, on to public hearing, item 4B, CTA 2020-05. The petitioner is the town of Fuquay-Varina. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a proposed amendment to the community transportation plan that addresses an area for improvement. Further information will be provided by staff.
The Community Transportation Plan is the adopted ordinance by which all citizens' transportation needs are identified. Oh, sorry. I am submitting this agenda item, abstract and supporting documents into the official town records. The CTP seeks to establish the desired vision of the community and identifies the steps to achieving it. The Fuquay-Varina 2035 Community Transportation Plan is a living document meant to be revisited and amended as necessary as the community moves forward in growth. Town Board previously approved an amendment to the alignment of Fuquay-Varina Parkway between US 401 south near the Harnett County line east to NC 55 highway to ensure better alignment and make it more likely that Fuquay-Varina Parkway could serve as a bypass for US 401 traffic. At that time, staff indicated that a future study would be needed to determine the remaining alignment and right-of-way width. It was anticipated that a 150-foot right-of-way for this segment would be necessary to maximize the potential for the Department of Transportation funding and allow this to function as a bypass. According to the 2035 Community Transportation Plan, currently, the entirety of the Fuquay-Varina Parkway is identified as a future 120-foot right-of-way. The Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, CAMPO, is beginning a study of the US 401 corridor that is slated to be completed in the next 2 years. However, continued development in the area between US 401 South and NC 55 Highway has necessitated the right-of-way is updated from 120 feet to 150 feet before completing the study. Staff recommends approval of CTA 2020-05, proposed amendment to the 2035 Community Transportation Plan. It is reasonable and in the public's best interest as it improves upon the 2035 Community Transportation Plan intent to plan for the future of transportation and growth in the town. I'm available to answer any questions.
The question I have is the remainder of Fuquay-Varina Parkway is still at 120 or remains at 120, but it is 120 all
Yes,
through all
it is.
the components of it. It's not really around, but yeah, okay. So this is just expanding that section.
Right, so I can tell you, it's already on the map here as
Right.
the 120. So
Right.
right now, the route is not changing at all. We are just expanding that one section's right away.
Okay.
Is it additional right-of-way reservation, or are you changing the section they construct?
That is something that would be determined, I believe, with the US 401 bypass study.
Gotcha.
So, and right now, we just require right-of-way, not right-of-way, reservation, right?
No, I believe we have to build 2 lanes.
2
of
lanes
it.
of construction,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so it's constructing 2 lanes, but reserving.
And the side path.
And then also, but providing the full right-of-way.
Right.
Is that right? Okay. Any other questions before we start the public hearing? Okay. The public hearing is now open. We've already heard from the town, I guess, but does anyone wish to speak in favor of this town code amendment?
I have no hands raised.
Okay. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this town code amendment?
There are no hands raised.
Last call. Okay. Public hearing is now closed. What is the pleasure of the board?
No questions.
And no more questions, and I'm open for a motion.
I'll motion it. I'll motion to
Okay.
approve.
You want to make a motion?
To approve CTA 2020-05.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, Alex, you can get back to work.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes the public hearing component of the meeting. We are on to other business, item section 5. First item is item 5A, and I believe we need a recusal for Jim Chandler for this.
I'll make a motion to recuse Jim Chandler from item 5A.
And a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Jim, you are recused for this item. Sub PR 2019-11 Midtown. Purpose of this agenda item is to consider a preliminary subdivision plat submitted by the Timmons Group called Midtown Subdivision located at 313 Railroad Street. Further information will be provided by staff.
Thank you. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. The submitted preliminary subdivision, Midtown, is located at 313 Railroad Street on 10.36 acres in the downtown Center 2 conditional zoning district, with the following conditions regarding the site-specific standards of the subject property. 1, right-in, right-out access to Railroad Street. 2, public street between Northwest Street and Railroad Street with sidewalk on both sides. 3, new public street may have parallel parking. 4, curb, gutter, and sidewalk provided on Northwest Street and Railroad Street along frontage of property. 5, install a pork chop turnaround at terminus of Northwest Street onto property or an alley into the development as approved by the town. 6, dedication and construction of public greenway to wetlands limit pending public input and town board approval. 7, 10-foot opaque buffer along adjacent parcels. 8, minimum 9-foot first floor ceiling heights. 9, comply with articulation, roof and roof lines, color and building material requirements. And 10, 80 townhome units maximum. The preliminary subdivision plat proposes 53 residential lots meeting the standards for open space subdivision developments. The minimum lot width permitted is 25 feet. The minimum provided is 25 feet with the average lot size 1,702 square feet. Following the 15% open space requirements of a townhome development, a minimum of 1.55 acres of overall open space is required. There are 5.44 acres of overall open space provided. Vehicular access to the project area is provided via a connection to Railroad Street as well as 2 connections from Northwest Street. There is also a stub street to the south of the project. Public water and sewer are available to serve the subject properties and will be installed by the developer. The proposed preliminary subdivision plat meets all town requirements, and as such, staff recommends approval. I am available to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions on this? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll recommend approval of preliminary subdivision plat sub-PR-2019-11 as presented and recommended by staff.
Yeah, motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. This one's approved. And Jim, you're back with us. Okay. Next one is item 5B, sub PR 2020-03 Rollins Grant. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider a preliminary subdivision plat submitted by the firm, the Now Company, called Rollins Grant Subdivision located at 5840 Hilltop Road. Further information provided by staff.
Thank you. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. But this item, actually, the petitioner has requested a tabling until the next planning board meeting.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to to table this item?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion?
Hey, if we can get one to a date certain, that'd be good.
Do we feel like we have a date certain for the next planning board?
We're going to aim for the next planning board.
Okay, well, we can table it to the next planning board, and then if it needs to be tabled again after that. That's a good point, thank you. So we do have a motion and a second. Could I get an amendment to that motion?
So amended.
So amended to the next planning board meeting, which is, the date is, for the next planning board meeting is?
September 21st.
September 21st is the next.
Right.
So, to date certain, the September 21st planning board meeting. And then the second, do I have approval from the second?
Second.
Second on that change? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This is tabled until the September 22nd planning board meeting. All right, and that, then we also have a 5C census update. Information on that, I assume, is going to be provided by staff.
Yes, I am supporting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official records of the town. Since March of this year, the U.S. Census Bureau has been collecting data on American citizens as required by the U.S. Constitution. This year's census has been met with various challenges brought on by the COVID-19 global pandemic. Regardless, over 59% of the country and over 74% of Fuquay-Varina residents have completed the census to date. The census is important because it determines the amount of federal funding allocated to communities over the next decade. Early on in the process, Fuquay-Varina partnered with Wake County and its peer municipalities to maximize public outreach. This outreach has been covered in all forms of media that includes an aggressive social media campaign, articles in local magazines, local news stories, placing ads on local television and radio. The media outreach, coupled with in-person outreach at events before the COVID-19 restrictions, have led to the current success of the census response. Fuquay-Varina has long surpassed its 2010 response rate of 68.1% and is slated to continue doing so into August and September as staff enumerators enter the field on August 11th. Enumerators are employees of the Census Bureau to conduct in-person interviews on households who have not yet responded to the census. Enumerators will only visit households that have not yet responded by mail, phone, or online. Since social distancing protocols are still in effect, enumerators are expected to follow strict no-contact policies while conducting interviews. These enumerators are required to wear masks and official Census Bureau badges at all times when engaging with the public. The census strongly encourages households to complete the census as soon as possible online, by mail, or by phone to avoid a visit from an enumerator. The census is calling this campaign Avoid the Knock. The 2020 census response period is set to end on September 30th, 2020. This deadline is a change from the previous end date of October 31st, 2020 that was not granted. Communities are now faced with additional challenges of completing accurate counts in less than 30 days. Fuquay-Varina has had an exceptional census response and is on track to a complete and accurate count. It is still critical that all citizens complete and submit their self-response census information as soon as possible.
Thank you. Sounds like we're doing fairly well, but challenges
We're doing
ahead.
very well. Online is still the preferred method. We have had some instances where enumerators have knocked on doors because the mail version has not been registered yet. So,
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that one? Okay. Okay, we'll go on to administrative reports. 6A, planning staff reports. Everybody should have a copy. Any questions on that? I noted again that we're getting, our recommendations are being pretty much approved by the Town Board of Commissioners. So I think we're doing a good job of vetting them and making them ready for the Town Board of Commissioners to be able to approve our recommendations. So thank you to the board for that. Any questions on that? Okay. Unless there's any other business, I think I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.